Alright, we are recording, so it's new month, also new year, so can do another cover impressions video. Don't really know what more to say than that. I'm going to try to do this like the last one, where I'm just looking at this stuff for the first time and going with that. The first one, I tried that, and I just couldn't do it, had to select specific covers and go through them that way. I am still working on the backlog of written assigned reading reviews, so that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. But I also think that if I can remember to do these once a month, to do them once a month, because they are kind of fun. All right, let's turn this on. All right, so got Barnes & Noble up here first. Also have Kobo and Amazon Books, so we will go through those three like last time. Looking at this, bestsellers, I'm pretty sure I've looked at all of these at one point or another, even if they were in a video or not, so let's scroll down and see what we got here for everyone's talking about. Yeah, let's look at that. Oh, yeah. There's that, it's the same picture thing again. Let's go with that as well, maybe, and sure, let's pull that one up. Both these, I think, as well, and we'll pull that up. Alright, so first things first, and I also need to keep track of some of this stuff more easily. 35 or so. Because I like putting in the stuff in the description, so we get the chapter points. Anyway, what is this? The Housemaid. Okay, so looking at the image, it's like in The Housemaid, New York Times mega bestseller. I have no idea what the mega would mean there, but I do know, and I don't remember how it works, but I do know that the New York Times bestseller list is actually easily manipulated by publishers, so. And soon to be a major motion picture, don't really care. But from behind closed doors, she sees everything. That's exactly what the image there tells me. Of course, that is a fake image, which in some ways is a little disappointing. That's not how a lock looks. That's actually kind of sad when you think about it, because we don't use locks of that style anymore, where you can't actually see all the way through the keyhole, and certainly not also with that specific shape there. So, yeah, that. But I'm sorry, it's just one of those things where I grew up with old enough media that, you know, I've seen movies and television shows with the actual kind of keyhole locks there, so I know what they should look like, and this is wrong. Also, there's some doors in the house that still have that design as well, so it's just, this is like, you know, somebody was just told make an image of a, yeah, that looks more so it should be a woman's eye than a man's, looking through a keyhole, and they just, it's like, okay, well, this is what the shape looks like. It's like, no, that's not how it works. And somebody should have, along the line, said that's not actually what the keyhole looks like. So don't do that. But anyway, I got no idea what the genre of this would be, though. It could be mystery, could be thriller, connect with mystery. It technically could also be romance, because, like, you know, what are they looking into? And okay, I'm just trying to remember the name of I think it's 1000 Bedrooms is the name of a movie. It's a romantic comedy. I think with Dean Martin? I don't quite remember on that one. But, and they do use, like, you know, the keyhole there in the cover art, and you do see through here. Let me see if I can actually find that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just using Edge for this. So that's... Okay, well, no, we've got all the keys there and such, but it is... To help with the context, he owns a chain of hotels. So that's where the 10,000 bedrooms come in. But I thought that one of the images I've seen for it... not gonna worry about it. I thought that one of the cover arts that I'd seen for it is with, like, you know, looking through the keyhole. Because it's meant to be suggestive like that, hence why it's also 10,000 bedrooms. But anyway, let's look at the blurb now. Twisty, exactly what you want from a thriller, and it's hard to get any deliciously twistier than The Housemaid. I don't like, I mean, partly that's my speech pattern, but I don't care for how that sentence was constructed. It's also, well, you'll zig and zag throughout, and when you're done, you'll quickly seek out McFadden's follow-up, The Housemaid's Secret. And it's just that none of that is meaningful to me. Because you're not telling me anything about the story. Aside from, yeah, apparently its genre is thriller, but or mystery, but okay. There's other places that I can be told that I'm looking to see. I guess they don't have the genre necessarily listed here. But 2 million I don't care how many it sold. A book could sell 1 and I find it awesome. A book could sell 10 million and I find it boring. Need a motion picture starring Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried. Okay, that doesn't tell me I want to read the book. That might tell me I want to see the movie. Don't tell. I mean, this, even with this first part, this isn't telling me anything about the story. So it's not convincing me to read it. It's more like a social pressure technique. That's just trying to say, oh, well, you really like this twisty stuff, and here, let me make up these weird words, because I don't think twisty is a word. You'll zig and zag throughout. It's like, okay, so you're telling me about the experience I'm supposed to have, but I might not have it, because I don't know what the story is. I mean, I'm just trying to think of a way to put that. If I read a Star Trek story, I'm expecting adventure, because it is a genre, because that's the genre it is under, along with science fiction. That's what I'm expecting. And can I expect certain twists and turns there? Yeah, sure. But that there also might not be any, and that's fine. There can still be action, there can still be adventure. But I'd want to read it because it's an action story, it's an adventure story. You're not telling me what kind of story this is. You're saying that the zigs and zags, but it's like, you can have even Wrath of Khan, which is not a thriller, has zigs and zags in it. So, and that is more just a straight action film. Another film that's very much straight action would be Die Hard. That's very much just a straight action film, but it has zigs and zags. Is it a thriller? Yeah, a little bit, with the whole trying to figure out what the terrorist plan is, but it's just, that's not, you know what the genre is from that. This, I still don't know. It's like, how far do I have to go through all this to finally get some idea? Don't miss the #1 bestseller, addictive psychological thriller. Okay, now it's apparently a psychological thriller. Okay, so now that's telling me more about the genre. So I'm just trying to think, what would be another example of psychological thriller? I mean, Psycho would be an example. Actually, not sure what others. Because like Alien would also be considered a thriller, but not psychological. And I got some political thrillers I know a little bit better. So like Manchurian Candidate, that the original, I don't know about the new one. But anyway, let's just keep going. With a jaw drop, that is not the right dash. Sorry, that would be an M dash, it looks like, versus an N dash. So named because length of an N, length of an M. But yeah, that looks like an M dash, and that should be just a normal N dash, which is what is actually on your keyboard. You get an M dash a different way. So because I know people saying that, oh, that's how you can tell it's AI. I don't know, because it's also one of those funny things. I've used dashes enough, and sometimes like Word just automatically changes an N to an M dash depending on the context. Typically for that, if it's like space dash space, it'll make it an M dash. But it's like, I'm not AI, and that's just autocorrect. That's not AI either. So anyway, it's booked for fans of Ruth Ware, Lisa Jewell, and Verity. I've said it before. I read books, I don't read authors. So that, again, it doesn't really tell me much. And I'm a little curious. And I know it sounds like people watch these videos, but it still is that a man thing versus a woman thing? That I don't read by author, I read by book? I mean, an author may really impress me, make me want to read more. Yes, that's a thing. But it's not as though I feel an allegiance or loyalty to them that I will continue because, oh, it's their work. And it's like, with the Star Trek novelizations, I really liked the Wrath of Khan novelization by Vonda McIntyre. So when I saw that, oh, she also did the Search for Spock novelization and Voyage Home novelization, I was looking forward to those. Search for Spock, I don't feel was as strong. It's ups and downs. Voyage Home I found to be quite poor. So I'm not really interested in looking at other Vonda McIntyre books, necessarily. I mean, if I see that, oh, she wrote that, I might be more interested. But still say, what is the book? That's how I would decide if I want to purchase it and read it. So, anyway. But now, we finally, all the way down here, it looks like we're finally getting a description of the story itself. Anyway. Every day I clean the Winchester's beautiful house top to bottom. Okay. Collect their daughter from school. I cook a delicious meal for the whole family before heading up to eat alone in my tiny room on the top floor. It's a style thing. I don't think you need the periods there, because you're writing out a list. You don't necessarily need periods there, but anyway, like, commas or semicolons, but anyway. I try to ignore how Nina, that's the daughter, right? Wait. Oh no, makes a mess just to watch me clean it up. Okay, who is Nina? I thought we don't get a name before that, it's just Nina. She tells strange lies about her own daughter. Okay, this is the wife, apparently, the mother. And how her husband Andrew seems more broken every day. But as I look into his handsome brown eyes, and a feeling that would be coming, so full of pain, it's hard not to imagine what it would be like to live Nina's life. The walk-in closet, the fancy car, the perfect husband. Okay, this is sounding like probably about a dozen different romantic comedies that would have existed. More so 60s, potentially 50s. I don't think so much in the 70s. But the whole seeing his life is so miserable. It's like the wife is apparently horrible, and finding that out. Oh crap! What is the one that would actually go back to 40s or 30s with Wow, why am I totally blanking on her name? I'm gonna look it up over here. And I feel bad for forgetting this name. Betty Davis. I could not think of Davis. But there's at least one Betty Davis film where she has an identical twin. The main character that we're following, she plays both of them, is alone, is single. Her sister is married, and to a man that she very much that she had loved. Like, before her sister married him, she was interested. That whole thing. And what ends up happening is they both go out on a boat. Her sister ends up dying, and she decides, oh, my sister's life was so much better than mine. And I think there was confusion as to who was who, and she just accepts that and goes with it. But as it happens, she ends up being caught up in, ends up discovering and then being caught up in secrets that her sister had, that her life was actually miserable. And it sounds a little bit like that. It's still part of the same larger idea of, you think that this is wonderful, but as you see a little bit closer, because Housemaid, so seeing through things, you get that. But it's, yeah. But, the wanting to live her life, the walk-in closet, which again, that should be an N, not an M dash. The fancy car, the perfect husband. It's like, he's probably not a perfect husband. Like, that's something that'd probably be discovered there. Tries on one of the wife's white dresses, just to see what, again, I only try on one of Nina's pristine white dresses once. Just to see what it's like. No, those are commas, not periods. Who the hell wrote this? Or was it just AI that doesn't understand how a comma is supposed to be used? But she soon finds out, space, ... I always put an ellipsis directly against. I don't have a space there. And by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it's far too... Hang on, wait, back up. I only try on one of her dresses once. Okay, so that's also redundant. Try on one of her dresses. Well, no, I guess because you're only putting that dress on once. It's still, I'd write that a little differently. Just to see what it's like. Shouldn't be a separate sentence. But she soon finds out, and by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it's far too... Okay. So I'm trying to see this situation. She tried on a dress. The wife found out and is upset, and so locks her in her room. So they... How does this story happen then? It's like she's locked in a room and she can't get... And then we get, but I reassure myself the Winchesters don't know who I really am. They don't know what I'm capable of. It's like, what the hell is this story then? This is... Let me look. Let me see if I can find it. When You Disappeared. When You Disappeared. That was the name of it. That one story where it was like the husband disappeared, the wife had to go searching. And it's like initially, like when I was doing that cover impression, it was like, okay, I got this. Missing husband, wife trying to find him. Good. I can get into this story. And then it keeps going. It's like, none of this actually do I care about. Because like now he ran away. He's got some reason for it. It's 20 years later. Suddenly, I mean, the blurb made no sense for any kind of coherence that would be a story I'd be interested in. This, I'm feeling kind of like that as well. Where it's like, they don't know what I'm capable of. It's like, arguably, you shouldn't be capable of anything. Like, the story that would actually be more interesting here would be she tries on the dress, gets caught, or somehow gets confused. Somehow they confuse who she is. And she starts getting to live Nina's life that she wishes she had and discover all these things that are wrong with it. Here, instead, it sounds like you crossed a boundary you're not supposed to cross as an employee. And you do know she doesn't necessarily like you. The whole making a mess to make you clean up, which it's also, she's an adult. She's the one that has the daughter, so she's the mother. What is going on here? She shouldn't be doing that anyway. But it's just, and then you get locked up, and it only locks from the outside, meaning you can't get out. There's nothing to happen in this story. And it's like, what? Just getting revenge? Is that eventually she's let out and it's like, they don't know what I'm capable of? It's like, what does it matter? You're not capable of anything. You've been locked up. If you're let out, it's by them. So, yeah, and it's... Who are you going to do anything to? Nina's the only one that's done any harm to you, but it's also you kind of had it coming. You took one of her dresses, and that... I mean, I get women do share clothes, but it's like, that's not necessarily the nature of your relationship to allow that. Okay, so, no. It just... This... I'm not certain, but is this like a feminine power fantasy? That you're in this subservient role, you see this thing that you want, and you think you can find, and you start to grasp at achieving it by putting on the dress, and then you get punished, but then it's like, for doing that, because you shouldn't have, and then it's, oh, well, I can just get my revenge, as opposed to being fired, or just leaving, whatever. I mean, it's just, is that what this is? Because that would also explain, if that's the case, why I have no interest in it. I don't know. But it is definitely not what I get from the cover image. More so what I get from that cover image is that they, is more so the whole, like, the housemaid knows the different secrets. And maybe is trying to use those to wedge herself into some position that she wants to be in, such as wedging out the wife to take over her role, get the husband kind of thing. I could see that. And that's, I mean, I wouldn't be interested in that, but it's like, at least I can see that. Or even going back to the Bette Davis movie that I don't remember what the name of it is. But going back to something like that, where it's she sees only part of it. She doesn't see all the secrets. And so she thinks she has an understanding, starts stepping in, and then finds, oh no, these things are different. And has to deal with all that. So that I could see being a little interesting, but yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Atomic Habits. I'm just trying to record this stuff. Tiny changes, remarkable results, an essay, and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. So it's a self-help book. That whatever. I'm not forming an opinion based on that. I'm just, do I like this cover for it? No, I don't. Because it's a little too esoteric. Just the title of Atomic Habits, because you get somebody like me who does know some chemistry. It's been quite a while since I took AP chemistry, but still. I do remember that. And it's... So it's like Atomic Habits. It's okay, what is this? It may get me just by the title to look at this, but then I see it's a self-help book, and it's like, okay, I'm not necessarily going to believe a self-help book. I mean, I actually just finished reading a book going through Stoicism. It's like, that is more interesting to me than this. Because it's like, tell me, I'd rather learn more about the philosophy behind self-help than the self-help itself. Just because one is going to be more of a, okay, I see what's being talked about here, how can I integrate that? Versus he did A and got B, therefore if I do A, I'll get B, because that's not how it actually works, kind of thing. But anyway, but it's just atomic. The word atom comes from Greek for indestructible, because that was the idea at the time when atoms were being theorized, that they were an indestructible component of matter. We now know there are smaller things to it. There are fundamental particles that are indestructible in that sense, that you can't break them down. But it's like, I don't know. And Atomic Habits, it would be like, these things that would be very small, but also indestructible. You can't break them down further. So I don't know. There's enough. I don't get what's going on here that I don't think I would be that interested in it. But I could believe if I had the time walking through a bookstore, I'd at least try looking at the blurb. So let's see what we got. Thoughtful and easy to understand. Atomic Habits is a must for anyone trying to change their productivity. Simple guide, it will help create a strong foundation for building good habits and make it easy to say goodbye to bad habits for good. So if you still don't really tell me much. With 25 million copies sold, over 60 languages. Okay, it's originally from 2018. That makes some sense. Tiny changes, remarkable results. Matter your goals. Atomic Habits offers a proven framework for improving every day. Okay, I mean, it's oddly written. I don't like the grammar there, but at least these are N dashes, by the way. That's why there's two of them to make up an M dash. But anyway, let's keep going. Every day. James Clear, one of the world's leading experts on habit formation, reveals practical strategies that will teach you exactly how to form good habits, break bad ones, and master the tiny behaviors that lead to remarkable results. Have trouble changing your habits? Yeah, the problem isn't you, the problem is your system. It's both. Pick themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. Yeah, okay. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Here you'll get improved system. I don't like the grammar of how that's written either. You'll get a system that can take you to new heights. I don't like this language, this vertical language in there. Just... It seems too self-helpy. I get it is a self-help book, but still. There's like, getting to these new heights. It's like... maybe I just want to be better. It's not about reaching a new height. It's just being better. Clears over his ability to distill complex topics into simple... Hey, I'm just skimming through now. Yeah, none of this blurb is helping me. Making me think that I should try it. That I should be interested in this book. I mean, it's a self-help book, right? And I do get the idea, the underlying concept here that's like conveyed in the... Is that in the first paragraph of the blurb itself? The actual book description? About tiny changes in your life that can produce a larger impact. Sort of a every journey starts with one step kind of thing. To help manage it so you can make these changes. It's like, I get that. I like that idea. Because for some people, that's what you need. For other people, no, you do need the large changes. It's all contextual. Which is one reason why I'm not really liking this idea for the self-help book. But anyway, it doesn't give me any example, though. It's just saying, hey, you can trust this guy because look at these degrees. He draws on the most proven ideas from these things. It's like, okay, that's an appeal to credentialism, technically. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I've put up with shit like that. And it's also like going back to mentioning the Stoicism. Did they have a sense of biology, like what he'd be tying into? Probably not. Neuroscience? Almost certainly not. Psychology? Yeah. But the stuff in that Stoicism stuff in the Stoic philosophy might be just as practical, might be more useful than this, but they don't have that. So that's why it appeals to that. It's like, yeah, that doesn't do anything for me because I know not to just trust that. But I feel like if this blurb were giving me an example, I would care. Not to say I'd necessarily buy it, but at least it would get me to care some. This is not getting me to care any because it's just... It's kind of like it's the same idea, just repeated a lot, and then trying to use... Along the way, readers will be inspired and entertained with true stories from Olympic gold medalists, award-winning artists, and so on. It's just... Part of the reason why I also see this as not that interesting relates to... It's not dependent on this, but the TV show Leave It to Beaver, there was an episode on not that long ago even, where the beaver buys for his dad a book, How I Made $1 Million. And his father does look at it, but knows that, yeah, this is a joke, essentially. It's not going to help. It's just somebody's personal story. Where the guy just... I don't remember all of what he purchased, but at one point it was like, yeah, he bought up like 2,000... No, it might have only been 200 acres of land so far outside of the city. Well, how did that make him $1 million? Because the army wanted to build a military base there. And he just managed to buy it at the right time. In other words, he did nothing by skill. You will never be able to replicate this. You just got lucky. And that also, by the way, happened for a lot of people quite a while ago with buying up land in Florida ahead of Disney. So yeah, it's like, no, you got lucky. You didn't actually do anything that can be replicated. So yeah, it's... So citing Olympic gold medalists, award-winning artists, business leaders, life-saving physicians, it's like, I'm not a athlete, so Olympic gold means nothing to me. Award-winning artists, what kind of artists are you talking about? Technically I am that, but I don't need awards. Business leaders, not who I am. Life-saving physician, not what I do. Star comedians. I have a sense of humor. I promise I do. But my own humor, for what I can tell as far as jokes, I know is very flat. I would not be a good comedian. So again, it's like, I don't care. Who've used the science of small habits to master their craft and vault to master the... I'm sorry, but that's even dumber to me, because it's like, no, that's just you analyzing, seeing, okay, this is the thing that if I change that, I should be improving my result. I'm sorry, this... If it helps people, great, but the blurb here, not doing anything for me. The cover art doesn't make sense. It doesn't make me interested in it. Partly that is because I actually know what an atom is, and so Atomic Habits. I get it, it's trying to just go to these small, it's these small things, but I feel, well, yeah, tiny changes, remarkable results. I would highlight that more. I would probably try to come up with a title more like that, although I will grant, Atomic Habits might have been chosen in part because it sounds scientific. A lot of this potentially is not. It's informed by science, sure, but a lot of it likely is just, hey, this happened, hey, this worked for one person, it may work for you, kind of thing. Which is why, as I said, this Stoic philosophy I like better, because that at least is, I'm just trying to prepare. Can I do that? I cannot, okay. I wanted to try to copy the next link out. But at least with the Stoic philosophy, it's okay, I understand, I know why they're saying what they're saying there. And if I can understand that, I can potentially incorporate that into my life. And maybe fine, I already am doing certain things that are there. Maybe try to adjust them. Or maybe decide, you know what they're saying here, I'm not going to incorporate that into my life. But as I have that understanding there, this I don't know. This might just be a sequence of stories about, hey, did this, that happen? Did this, that happen? And maybe with some justification, like how dopamine hits work in our brain. I can see something like that connecting in, but it's... Yeah, it's... I'm not a self-help kind of person either, so sorry, but you also have that disadvantage to work with. Alright, so now this... 2942 about? Alright. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. And now I'm just thinking about Linus. In Peanuts. It was Linus Van Pelt. And Lucy as well. So looking, oh yeah, especially with that, this does seem to be, it'll be targeting children, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. Coming to Netflix, that may worry me, because that squid may become a shark or something. It's still a fish, it's like, it's very different. Looks almost like watercolors, which, I mean, you're underwater, so that does make some sense. Reading group guide inside. And also for the age, it being watercolors makes sense. So, I mean, it's on its own. I don't see anything here that I would consider a problem. One issue, I guess, is what am I supposed to take from this for? It says a novel, so there's a story here. Okay, what is that story? Because there's no action here at all. It's just we're seeing an octopus, so okay, an octopus will be important. And we're seeing a person standing there. It's not clear that you're like in an aquarium. So and I assume this is a children's story. So is it a child that visits an aquarium and is learning about these remarkably bright creatures, or is it something like is having, just in their imaginations visiting the bottom of the ocean and witnessing these things? I don't know. So I'm forced to read the blurb to find out what this might be about, because I'm having to make assumptions, because the image itself, there is no action, there's no clear sense of setting. Are we aquarium or bottom of the ocean? I mean, I don't know. And that's, yeah, there's also the whole, if I step back and think about it a little bit, the whole remarkably bright creatures, typically that means they're dangerous. Yeah. Alright, so what do we got here? Short synopsis is all you need. A detective octopus. Okay. Helps a grieving aquarium employee solve the mystery of her missing son. It's certainly unique in vessel, but the themes of coping, recovering, and moving forward resonate whether you have 2 arms or 8. Okay, so we're at an aquarium, so at least it's that. But I do not like this cover now. I don't. Because nothing about that cover is suggestive of what we see there. It's like, what the hell is a detective octopus? I get the whole, they're just, making up a thing here, a concept here. I can get that. But then do something that makes this look, yes, technically more cartoonish, but something that tells me the octopus is not just a thing there. But I mean, a detective octopus helps this grieving person. It's like, so is this... Is the octopus going to be communicating? So it's already kind of a cartoon character. They're in an aquarium, but helping with finding the missing son. Will solve the mystery of her missing son. It's like, is the octopus going to leave the aquarium to this? I mean, I was kind of expecting more just a journey. That somebody just goes on a journey that can be in their imagination, or just a journey to the aquarium, and by seeing these creatures and seeing how they interact and come up with stories there, that's how they're progressing. That is how the story develops for that character, for the human character. That would make sense. I can see that from this image, not what they're describing here. Compulsively readable. Am I just activating my critical brain too much and it's going overboard? Because compulsively readable means nothing. Readable is it readable? Is it intelligible? Yes or no. It's like those are readable and intelligible would be synonyms. Compulsively intelligible has no... those don't go together, because like you can't be... like if it's compulsion, you're compelled, you must do something. But readable is not a verb. I mean, intelligible is not a verb, it's an adjective. So yeah, this is exploration of friendship, reckoning, okay, and hope that traces a widow's unlikely connection with a giant Pacific octopus. Husband dead. The night shift. Aquariums have night shifts? I would think they close at night, so you'd have security, but you wouldn't necessarily have anyone else there. Okay, mopping floors and tidying up. So she's a janitor. Okay. Keeping busy. The hell that's a whiplash there. After her husband's death, she began working the night shift there. Okay. So that's the recent grief it would seem. But then it's like, I was already told about, her son being missing, but then it's like, she's, been coping since her 18-year-old son, Eric, mysteriously vanished on a boat 30 years ago. So he's 48. I get the whole, you still want to be unified. I can understand that, but still it's like, what the heck is going on here? It's 30 years, and you haven't processed that yet? And it's also, why is it the octopus is going to help with that, the thing from 30 years ago, as opposed to her husband's death months ago? Did it say months ago? I thought it said somewhere that it was still relatively recent, I would assume. But it just... becomes acquainted with a curmudgeonly giant Pacific octopus at the aquarium, but doesn't want to tell anyone what he knows. Wait. Okay, forms of friendship. Ever the detective, the Marcellus, the octopus deduces what happened the night till his son disappeared. Okay. I'm assuming it's he's actually a witness. Let's use every trick. His old and very body can muster to unearth the truth for her before it's too late. Why would it be too late for anything? I don't... I'm sorry. None of this sounds interesting to me. Because, and some of it could just be how the blurb is being written here. That's like, randomly we got an anthropomorphized, at least mentally, intellectually, octopus. That's a curmudgeon, but makes friends, so now is going to help. It's like, that alone can be the journey for the story. But it's like, no, apparently that's just going to happen because I guess Tova's awesome or something. I don't know. And the octopus knows a bunch and is going to deduce what happened the night. And no one in her family, no one around her, no one who investigated her son's disappearance could figure out any of this stuff, but the octopus can, who wasn't there. It's 30 years after the fact. I mean, unless he was witness to it. I'm sorry. This is stupid. This is really stupid. It's stupid. And going back to the cover, it doesn't connect with me. Another way to put it is, as I said, the journey of getting the octopus to become her friend is enough for a story on its own. But instead of that, we're taking that and apparently putting it over to here, so that we can then have here that the woman is still hoping to find her son, who was lost 30 years ago. Her husband died more recently, 30 years ago. Still looking for that. And the octopus that she becomes friends with. I mean, it's like, why are we talking about all of this stuff here? Just that first part is enough for a complete story. But we're having to do all this other stuff. And some of it does make sense. 30 years. That is long enough that if her son is still alive, has kids of his own, maybe even grandkids. Okay? Because, yeah, he was 18. He could have been found, immediately had kids that would very shortly have kids. They'd be 30 years old. They could themselves have kids then. So it's like, this is... I don't like this. I don't like this. It just seems like we're throwing all these different things in the story. To what end? I mean, I get the whole... See, I need to be careful with this, because I did see something not that long ago, somebody talking about, for the book they're writing, I know at least what their process is, that they start with so many ideas, and as they go along with new drafts, they keep filtering it down. But for me, it's like, I know that, I've got some stories where there is a lot there, but many things do happen, but it's always essentially going to the same point. right? So when I, in the assigned reading stuff, talk about a thready story, I mean that, it's the path things are taking are just seem to be willy-nilly whatever the author wants versus a rope. Where, yes, there are threads in a rope, but everything kind of coils together. Everything keeps it intact, keeps it coherent. And even though I came up with that after writing the last story, it's still that element, that thinking there, to me makes sense. This doesn't. Where this feels like it's very thready. It's like, oh, we want to do this. Oh, we want to do this. Oh, we want to do this. Can we just get the one thing that kind of follows through for all of it? I mean, it's like, if she were younger, and I'm dead serious, if this would help. I mean, it could even be her husband recently died. Maybe the son went missing shortly before, but not 30 years before. But it's like, take that time down so much smaller. Because otherwise, it's so large. It's like, it's making me ask the question of why is she not processed through her son going missing? Why does she, 30 years after the fact, still have to figure this out? Such as she needs an octopus to help her. There's also that element, when I was looking at this cover image, what was I thinking? This is a children's story, right? That cover image makes me think that, and Remarkably Bright Creatures kind of sounds like that as well. But instead, what's described here, this doesn't sound like a story that a child would be interested in, because you're talking about a woman old enough to be a grandmother or great-grandmother. So, yeah, it's... I get no connection to this story at all. I'm sorry. There is a part of me that I do feel like this should be better than what I'm seeing this blurb, and it might just be a very bad blurb. I don't know, but I got no connection to it. Excuse me. All right, 4150, and grab that. Okay, so the murder at World's End. Okay, so actually a few things going on with this cover that I don't necessarily like this style of cover, I will be honest, but, and I doubt that this is a book that's ultimately going to be aimed at me, but there are some things on here that I am actually liking. So we've got, I'm going to say a hotel, technically could be a mansion. Oh, I didn't notice before, one light on, so I would think murder at World's End, so that's where the murder is being committed, in that room. I just noticed the wind doesn't make any sense because on both sides of it you've got trees blowing towards the house. It seems to be on a cliff or mountain, and also we've got waves down the bottom, so again there's wind. But at World's End, I would assume that World's End is the name of the building, whether it is a mansion or a hotel. It's the name of that. But one thing that I see and I do like is right up at the top, which, is my cursor visible? No, it isn't. But at the top, above the word "the," that's a comet. And comets have traditionally been attached to doom. Like, they come over and it's like, oh, there's doom. So that they are ill omens. So I actually do like that. This is, I said, I don't necessarily like the art style that much. But this is, also just knows that. Why the hell would anyone do it that way? But I will grant that for the elements I'm seeing in this, I'm actually good with the underlying artwork. It's mainly the text on that I don't like. Oh, and also I've got to mention the "at" here with the arrow and the blood dripping there. So apparently that's how the murder was committed, with an arrow, which seems a little odd, but anyway. But no, what I just noticed and I really don't like. So we've got the drop shadows to the lettering. So murder is popping off because it's got, the it's actually not drop shadows, it is like an actual 3D thing, and so it's standing up and you're just seeing the black edges. But then you also have shadows being cast. It's like you would, like, the it being raised up like that, and the black there is kind of a drop shadow already, and then we're adding shadows as well that don't align. I don't like that, because it's almost like we're getting two different shadows here. And I don't feel that's necessary. But what is this? Okay, Tithe Hall. We've got the comment there again, though. But this is, so the name of it is Tithe Hall. The name of the building is that, so I assume that comes into play. Knives Out meets Downton Abbey. I'm sorry, but it is, I'm going to come back to that one, but it's like, this does not encourage me to be interested. Okay, let's look at this. As the 1910 Halley's Comet approaches, that is incorrect. An under-butler and a foul-mouthed octogenarian must hunt a killer in a manner sealed against the end of the world. Okay. Yeah, as the 1910 Halley's Comet approaches, it's like, no, there isn't a 1910 Halley's Comet. This Halley's Comet that may appear that may, come by Earth in 1910, but it is not a 1910 Halley's Comet. That's... I'm sorry, but that an editor should have caught that and been like, no, this is factually incorrect how you're describing this here. It's like, as the 1910 approach of Halley's Comet approaches, crap, I don't remember what the correct term would be for the appearance of the comet, but it's like, need that in there. So it's like, that does annoy me. And it's also the must hunt a killer. It's like, you don't need to highlight hunt a killer in here. The name of the book is The Murder at World's End. We know there's a killer. Two unlikely allies. Why? One house full of secrets. Yeah, sure. In a world teetering on the brink of his suspected apocalypse, because comets are harbingers of doom, even though Halley's Comet has come by many times previously. Resident of a well-protected mansion is found dead. Thrills, humor, and suspense unfold in this locked room mystery. Okay. Okay, so that we already got. Cornwall, 1910, remote title island, the Viscount of Tythe Hall, absorbed in feverish preparations for the apocalypse that he believes will accompany the passing of Halley's Comet. Okay? So, good job telling me the setting. Hall must be sealed from top to bottom, every window, chimney, keyhole closed off before night falls. I mean, technically could start that the day before, but whatever. What the pompous, dishonest Viscount has failed to take into account is the danger that lies within. I mean, it's fairly standard. By morning, he will be dead in a sealed study, yet murdered by his ancestral crossbow. So that's not an arrow, that's a bolt in that. Eyes turn to Stephen Pike. Why? Fresh out of Borstal for a crime he didn't... okay. He's the wrong man in the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay. So, fresh out of prison for a crime he didn't commit. I don't like that I feel like we could write it a little differently, but he's the wrong man in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's like, we got that from just he got out from a crime he didn't commit. It's like, oh, they suspect him. Got it. Unlikely ally, Miss Decima Stockington, the foul-mouthed, sharp-as-attack 80-year-old family matriarch. Feels unconventional, she relishes chaos and puzzles alike, and the murder is just the thrill she's been waiting for. That worries me a little bit. I'll explain why in a moment. Together, this mismatched duo must navigate secret passages, buried grudges, and rising terror to unmask the killer before it's too late. Okay. What I don't like here, what worries me is, I mean, technically it's all of this, but let's just go with this much. What do we know about Stephen Pike? Under butler, and he was accused of a crime. That he was finally released for a crime he did not commit. But what do we know about her? She's fearless and unconventional. She relishes chaos, and she likes puzzles. And this murder is something that'll really, get, ooh, yes, this will be fun. It's like, why do we know more about her than about him? I mean, I get that they're a duo, but we also don't know why they're connected here. It just... Who's the main character? Okay, is it her or is it him? We're getting more information on her. So even though she's introduced second, she seems to be the main character. So then why is he introduced first? And if it is it's the duo, then it's like, okay, but then why are they connected? Because you're also not telling us here either. I mean, fine, she wants to solve the murder. She thinks that'll be fun. Great. Why does it necessarily mean that she would work with him? There's no explanation there. So this could just be the blurb. It could also be that, no, she's going to be the main character. Even though it's like it's like we are introduced to him first, wasn't it? Yeah, under butler and foul mouth octogenarian. So it is again implying he's more so the main character because he's being named first. So yeah, I get how I will grant there is potential here, but there's also the whole. I mean, it's like using that as the combination. I don't really have an interest in either of those things. Doubting and Abby not all. I have seen two of the Knives Out and whatever. So yeah, it's. I am again unimpressed, but I will grant, aside from the weird shadow thing, the cover art I do appreciate. I do think that is decent cover art. I'm concerned about the story, but the cover art itself I'm good with. Yeah. If the style were different, I would like it more, but as it is, I'm okay with it. Alright, so 50-51. Skylark. I don't know, it just looked like it might be an interesting cover to talk about. That's technically all I need. A novel. Okay, so this. Is that going to be in Paris, maybe? I'm not sure. Oh, New York Times bestselling author of The Paris Wife, so it would make sense then that we're reusing the Paris location. I mean, at least it definitely looks European because I don't think we have that style of bridges in America, at least in many places. It also, we've got the spires and looks like the I can't remember the name, but it looks like Notre Dame back here as well, which has a spire but also has those two tall rectangular structures on either side. Those do have a name. I cannot remember what they are. What it is, though. But it is also, I got no idea anything about the nature of the story. I do want to point out, though, and this had occurred to me, the bird here, that looks like it's a textile that was cut or pulled out. It has rough edges. You can see the threads there. It is also a little interesting that they actually put it above this A and that M. So it is like the letters and it are on the same level. I do kind of like that. Hang on, I need to pause. I need to get a drink of water. And actually, before getting to the blurb, I promise I didn't look at it. I got no idea what this story is about. It's like a novel. It's like that's fine. But from the author of The Paris Wife, that just tells me, okay, this seems like it is most likely Paris is the setting again, and Paris Wife, that makes it sound like at least romance is going to be part of it. Something to do with relationships. Maybe that's also going to be happening in this as well. I don't know. Skylark, I don't know if there's any specific meaning to that bird itself, but for birds, it can be a symbol of freedom because it can fly away. So yeah, let's see. Parallel lives of two women are explored in this grand story of resilience, hope, and bravery that takes place centuries apart. I'm going to keep going. I'm just trying to think. That blurb, especially because the takes place centuries apart, does make me think, yeah, this is not a book for me. Just the parallel lives of two women being explored in this grand story of resilience, hope, and bravery. It's like, well, okay, yeah, a man can also enjoy that, but takes place centuries apart. It's like, why would I care? I mean, just like, okay, so they have no connection to each other at all. It's just like history is just repeating itself. Essentially, it's like, okay, yeah, I got that. Why should I care about both women though? I mean, I should really only care about the modern one because that's the one that's actually doing things. The other one is already dead and buried by the time anything's happening. So yeah, it is Paris. Weaves a mesmerizing tale of Paris above and below. A woman's quest for artistic freedom in 1664 intertwines with the doctor's dangerous mission during the German occupation in the 1940s. Okay. And just how those would connect, I'm not sure. It's also two women. The doctor's a woman? 1940, that's not going to be common. Yeah, nurse, definitely. Doctor, not so much. And for anyone wondering about that, part of it, yes, women weren't necessarily allowed into medical schools, but there's also an element of a doctor. This is also why, I think I mentioned this in something else before, why surgeons tend to be male, Because that's not only you need to get your doctor's license, but then you got a few more years of study just for that. It is highly focused, highly technical, and those are things that men tend to be better wired for on average. Yes, there are exceptions, but on average, no, that's not something you find women doing, and it's also that much time commitment. Because a lot of women are like, yeah, I kind of do want to get married, have family, and losing years from that to focus on this study, they don't necessarily feel that they are up for doing both at the same time, or so they then end up feeling, yeah, I'm not going to be a surgeon. I'll be a doctor, but not a surgeon because I want to do the family stuff. So, and that's today, 1940s. It's going to be even harder. So yeah, it either was a nurse or nurse practitioner. I'm not sure if they had nurse practitioners back then, but still, it's like, okay, that seems more reasonable. But yeah. Anyway, I am not even going to try to pronounce that name. Is the daughter of a master dyer at Tapestry Works. Dreams of escaping her circumstances and creating her own masterpiece. I don't know enough about that time period, but that might still be enough of a class-based society that, yeah, not happening. Regardless, man or woman, not happening. Father's unjustly imprisoned. They always are. I'm sorry, what the last thing also had that. They always are. Her efforts to save him lead to her own confinement in this notorious asylum, where thousands of women are held captive and cruelly treated. The cruel treatment, yeah, well, by today's standards, we would consider it cruel. Back then, not necessarily. But it's also, she tries to save him and leads to her own confinement. It's like, yes, 1664, in Paris, you're trying to do that kind of, you're trying to disrupt his arrest, which, fine, it was unjust, whatever. It still is. That's what was decided on by the government. You don't want to mess with that. I'm sorry, you kind of stepped into this one yourself. Then it's grim walls. She discovers a small group of brave allies and the possibility of a life bigger than she ever imagined. Sorry, just wind blowing. In 1939, Christoph Lawson, a medical student, Pale Lives of Two Women. This is a man. His neighbors, a Jewish family who have fled Poland. Nazi forces stand down the city. He becomes the only hope for survival, even as his work as a doctor is jeopardized. City that was. Okay, so no, I'm not interested in the story. There's potential. I will acknowledge what's potential, but it's like I don't really care about the 1664 stuff because, as I already said, that's in the past. Why would I care about that? This is a story, the 1939, but it's Pale's story of two women. It's a dude. Who's his second woman? We don't know. And it's like, fine, she was held in this specific asylum. I was half expecting it to be like he's going to keep them that he's going to find a way to hide the Jewish family at the asylum because he's also working there or something. It's like, so that it somehow connects. This sounds here like, no, it's just two completely random stories that, oh yes, they happen to be parallels. Like if you watch The Wizard of Oz with whatever that one album is, that you start playing at a certain time and then, oh, this thing and that thing happened to align. It's like, that's what this sounds like to me, and I have no interest in that. And there's also, I've got no idea how any of this brings you to the name Skylark, gives you this image. I really don't. The cover art doesn't connect anything to this blurb except for it being Paris. There is such disconnection here. I got no interest in this. And it's also Parallel Lives of Two Women. Fine, two women. Says a doctor. Huh. Well, in 1940s, I would not expect a woman to be a doctor. Oh, no, it's a dude. So, who's this other woman then? Let's move on. Okay, need to select things from here. That looks like it could be interesting. But that as well, what is... So this is Kobo in case it wasn't clear there. Yeah, that one. Okay, so Shadows of the Gods, which... Oh, hang on, I almost forgot about that. And, oh, perfect. Like, in exactly 1 hour. Cool. I do like and dislike this image for the same reason. No, I do like, because it is an action... Oh, wait. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I do have some issues, anatomical issues here. Um, but I do like it is an action scene. This is a more masculine cover. I don't think we need as much fine detail to the dragon as is there. But one thing that I do definitely have a problem with here is, I mean, it's like the dude is like the size of one of the dragon's teeth. The dude needs to be bigger. You can almost miss that the dude is even there. So it's like I do have problems here, because it's also, you would never approach a dragon that massive compared to you like that, especially if you expect the dragon to be aggressive towards you. No, it's just going to sneeze and you die. So yeah, no, there are definitely problems there. And the anatomical issue, I don't like teeth there, because the scale on the teeth makes no sense. Because why would you have a tooth that big and then another tooth that big with such a gap there? Okay, that's nonsense. And it is, like I said, the teeth look as big as the dude. The dude might be my size, like I'm 6'4", but let's say 6 feet. Okay, if the teeth are 6 feet, it looks like there's feet between. You're not going to be efficiently be able to chew. It's like the teeth should be closer. I'm saying, even... It's been a while since I've looked at alligator or crocodile teeth, but even those, which are large and reasonably would be used for what you look at for a dragon's mouth, they're still closer together than this. There aren't the massive gaps. So yeah, I got issues with the details in this, but the overall structure of it, I'm good with, except the man should be bigger, so it's clear he's there. It's clear he's there. The Shadow of the Gods, I don't really know how that connects with this. One thing I do want to mention, and you can't actually see my cursor, which sucks, but you've got the spines going up the dragon's neck. The second from the last on this... Hang on, I might need to be able to see here. Okay. So, not the first one there, but the one down. If you look, there's actually like a scar along it. So it looks like this dragon has been in battle before. How a person that tiny could ever be a threat to the dragon, no idea. So yeah, this seems nonsense, but let's look at the blurb. Is that okay? Norse-inspired world. Maybe. I mean, it looked more Central European, the dude there. I was thinking more like a knight, but anyhow. Packed with myth, magic, and vengeance, Shadow of the Gods begins an epic fantasy saga from best-selling author John Gwynne. Centuries passed since the gods fought and drove themselves to not very good gods then. If they drive themselves to extinction. Now only the bones remain, promising great power to those brave enough to seek them out. As whispers of war echo across the land, fate follows in footsteps of 3 warriors: a huntress in dangerous quest, a noble woman pursuing battle fame, and a thrall-seeking vengeance among the mercenaries known as Bloodsworn. So 2 women and unsure. Once more falls under the shadow of the gods. It's like, but the gods are extinct. How does it matter? That's all we get? That's not a good blurb, because like what's happening? I don't understand why it would happen. I don't see how dragons come into play at all. There's also, has potential for, high action story, great adventure, all that, but we're following a woman, well, 2 women, a noble woman pursuing battle fame. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but that's a battle death that you're actually getting. And a huntress on dangerous quest. It's like, okay, a huntress I can understand, because it's not unreasonable to me that father has 1 daughter, and he goes hunting. He's going to bring her, I can understand bringing her along, teaching her some of that, because you got to pass it down to somebody kind of thing. It's like, I can understand that, and so that she is able to take care of herself, potentially, if he's not available for whatever reason. It's like, I can understand that. And so you could have a woman that would be competent at hunting, so a huntress, but that's going to be, like, she's striking at a distance, guerrilla warfare kind of tactics. So it's like, not necessarily who I'd see being the lead on an adventure like this. But a normal woman pursuing battle fame, it's like, you're just going to get killed. I'm sorry, but it's, especially because if you're a noble woman, that suggests to me you were raised well. You're not going to be raised for combat then, okay? I was like, that hypothetical huntress they just described would be a harder woman because she had to be, because she was potentially going out to hunt for food, so she has dinner. A noble woman would never have had that experience. The idea of even wanting to be in combat, I could see there as a fantasy, but is likely not going to be prepared for it. And that does also remind me, you did have back in ancient Rome gladiatrix, who were female gladiators. And if I remember correctly, the history was, because they weren't actually trained gladiators. No, they were women that they wanted to do that. They wanted to get in there. And they did. Those battles were arranged. And remember, gladiators very, very rarely ever fought to the death. It basically, it nearly never happened for gladiators themselves. Prisoner executions, that would be different. But no, you would see sometimes female gladiators. As I said, they would be like just normal citizens that wanted to do that they decided they wanted to do that. But that's not warfare. That's spectacle. That's entertainment. It's a boxing match, kind of. So, I mean, just a noble woman wouldn't have been taught, wouldn't be prepared for the ways of war. Saying that she wants battle fame is like, she's an idiot. All right, I'm sorry, that is what that's telling me. And a thrall seeking vengeance among the mercenaries known as Bloodsworn. Okay, why? I get they're mercenaries, and it's a thrall that's a slave. That's what a thrall is. A thrall is a slave. So, is it like the mercenaries raided his home and then, like, killed his family, captured him, sold him into slavery? That's possible. You could tell me a little bit more about that. You could tell me more about any of them, but you're not telling me anything about any of them. You're not telling me anything about the story itself. I have no interest here. I'm sorry, but this is not... It feels like it's trying to, especially because of how the Bloodsworn trilogy, which this is the start of, and I just want to check, do we have a year on this? Not seeing one. Like, is The Hunger of the Gods or The Fury of the Gods already out yet? I don't know. But still, it's like, I feel like we're just focusing in this blurb here on, oh, this is the start of the series from this author. You know this author. You love this author. It's like, I read books. I don't read authors. I buy books. I don't buy authors. So this does not connect with me. It's, the characters don't sound real. And I don't know what the story itself is. I or why I should care. So, yeah, it's... And the cover art, I get the idea there, but it's not... There are things about it that should be different. The character should be larger. The human there should be larger. Because that seems so damn one-sided. It's like, dude, this is known as suicide, okay? I mean, like, hell, you could even just name the dragon. The dragon's name is Suicide. Why? Because whenever you go to fight him, that's what you're doing. What's this next one? 08, and it was about 51. Alright. You weren't meant to be human. Come on. Oh, it won't. That's all we get. With worms in there. Can't read that, but, I mean, it's... I don't know. But I will say this, that the artwork there, the title, you know what that's making me think of? Like 80s, 90s era, maybe a little bit 70s. Just kind of B-level horror films. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, some of those are actually really cool. Some of them are very interesting, and just, hey, we had an idea for a horror film. Horror films typically can be made less expensive than others because, I mean, you just need people running around in a real location in something. I mean, it's like maybe just a dude in the mask with a butcher knife. Well, you probably got a butcher knife. You just need to spend the money on the mask. So it's like, you can do things like that fairly inexpensively. So, and you saw a lot of people do it, and it's like, cool. So the cover is making me think of that, which is good. I mean, that's not really my genre, but I do appreciate it. So you have my interest, essentially, is what this cover has gotten. It's not telling, well, you weren't meant to be human and with the worms there. Okay. Maybe they've somehow made worms into a human. Kind of doubt that one. But it could be also, because like worm meat, meaning, or worm food, meaning somebody dead. Like, almost a Frankenstein kind of situation. Somebody's been resurrected. It might be a zombie story kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see. From the blurb, hopefully. But you're not making me say no to this right away. It's like, okay, there's potential here. Let's see. It won a Washington Post and Publishers Weekly Best Horror Novel of 2025. Alien meets Midsummer. I don't know Midsummer, so that doesn't do anything for me. Debut adult novel from award-winning author. Debut adult novel from an award-winning author. So you're really leveraging it's an adult novel, so it's a debut adult novel. But this is, so the dude's already won awards, just apparently not in this specific category. I'm sorry, I don't. I'd want to put from award-winning author we get his first adult novel, which is this. About identity, survival, and transformation amidst an alien invasion in rural West Virginia. I got a problem here. I don't get aliens from that cover art at all. I'm expecting more just traditional horror, like, something coming out of the ground trying to kill you, especially with the worms there. Nothing about that makes me think aliens. Festering masses of worms and flies have taken root in dark corners across Appalachia. In exchange for unwavering loyalty and fresh corpses, these hives offer a few struggling human salvation. A fresh start. It's an offer that none refuse. Okay, I mean, I don't see how alien is here, but I mean, the description of the worms, like, just this, that sounds exactly like something out of one of those movies I was talking about. So I'm okay. Crane is grateful among his hives. Who's Crane? Because it's just Crane is grateful among his hive's followers. I would have expected that from this, he's one of the struggling humans, but it's not his hive, it's the worm's hives. He would be among these followers, wouldn't he? He's found a chance to transition, to never speak again, to live a life that won't destroy him. What? He even met Levi, a handsome ex-Marine and brutal killer who treats him like a real man, mostly. But when Levi gets Crane pregnant, and the hive demands the child's birth, no matter the cost, Crane's desperation to make it stop will drive the community that saved him into a devastating spiral that, well, can only end in blood. In a deeply personal horror, a visceral statement about the lives of marginalized people in a hostile world, echoing the works of Stephen Graham Jones and Eric LaRocca. Okay, but I'm just... There's so many things here that just don't make sense. Crane is great. Well, who is Crane? Because some of this is making it sound like Crane is actually one of these, like, worm things. We also still, I mean, he's saying alien, but there's no description here of it being an alien. There's also, Levi gets Crane pregnant, but Crane is a he. So, you same-sex relations don't produce pregnancies? That is a fact. So it's like, what the hell's going on here? This sounds interesting. This sounds like gobbledygook. And especially when we get to the whole marginalized people's lives, it's like, jeez, man, really, we gotta do that? It's like a dude gets pregnant, is being forced to give birth to the child by the worms that are apparently aliens, but they came out of the ground. What the hell are we talking about here? I mean, it just... Did somebody just throw a bunch of words at a board and whatever stuck, they decided, oh, we're just going to put all that in there, don't matter that none of it makes any sense? That's kind of what this feels like here. Yeah, I got no interest here. This would have been interesting. On its own, that would have been interesting, but once you get into this stuff, it's like, what's going on? And then with this, it's oh, this wasn't written to tell a story, it was written to tell a specific message, and I'm not interested in messages necessarily, okay? It's like, if I want a message, I'll read nonfiction. If I want a story, stories have messages in them, yes, but the story is what comes first. The message can just exist in there and is part of the story, but it shouldn't be what drives the story, okay? The motivation for telling a story should be to tell the story. It shouldn't be to tell a message. Okay. Alright, so yeah, that's disappointing. Alright, so... What is this next one? Blood over Bright Haven. Okay. Alright, so we got a typewriter here. That's a fire, not blood itself. We have diagrams for planetary motion. That's what at least that's what I'm interpreting those circles to mean. They go up above. All right. I feel like there's symbolism here that maybe if I knew the story I would get, but as it is, no. Yeah, but I mean, one thing, that typewriter, that style of it is quite old, so this does date back. One thing, though, I do find curious is it appears to be ortholinear. So, like this, which I can't actually see the camera view, can't see OBS. Okay, yeah. So it appears to be ortholinear, which is not how typewriters were built. At least I'm not aware of any. They were built that way because by having them staggered, that would mean then that, because you have the bars going back, you can't have them go on top of each other. They need to be offset. So instead of having go like that, so the keys can be ortholinear, the keys are also staggered. So yeah, that's not. I get it's somebody just drew up a typewriter, but it still is. You should get this stuff right. But as maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe there were ortholinear typewriters. I'm just very unfamiliar with any. So yeah, I don't also get the larger image here with having the fire there behind it, like almost a crystal ball. I don't know, but I will just say Blood over Bright Haven. I'm assuming that this is going to be some sort of murder mystery. There's a writer involved somewhere, so yeah, let's get to the blurb. Okay, so at least it looks like we are starting straight with a synopsis, not just I think even this one was, yeah, it's even in the synopsis, it starts with, hey, this won an award. First woman ever admitted to a prestigious order of mages unravels a secret conspiracy that could change the practice of magic forever in the standalone dark fantasy from the author of The Sword of Kaigen. I'm sorry, but it's a prestigious order of mages with a secret conspiracy. Obviously. I mean, it's like... I'm sorry. I mean, the rest of it, I don't care. I mean, it's like, first woman ever admitted into this order of mages. It's like, okay, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's like, going back here, with the noble woman, it's like, yeah, that one doesn't make sense. But very often in fiction, in fantasy, magic is just magic. It doesn't care about, well, the individual's capability with magic is what matters. It's not any other characteristic of the person. So it's irrelevant if they're man or woman. If they can wield magic, they can wield magic. So that it's not like, oh, the main character's a woman. Yeah, that doesn't matter here. Not from this setup, at least. Okay, now we're starting getting testimonial stuff. Powerful, thought-provoking fans of our Kwang's babble will find much to admire here, from the intricate magic system to the unflinching exploration of societal issues. I mean, kind of off the previous thing, I don't care much for societal issue kind of stuff, because of the risk of it being a message, but at least it is just saying societal issues, which technically, though, just societal issues as a broad concept are going to be in all fiction, because you do need characters in it that are part of society and have to sometimes struggle with what there is expected of them from society, what their grievances might be with society. So it does make sense to have that in there. This doesn't suggest it is to serve a message. The previous book did. Okay. But I will just say one thing I don't necessarily like, and this technically applies to some of the other books as well. There's a reason why I try not to reference books when I write reference other things when I write reviews, because if you don't know that other thing, it's meaningless. I have no idea about this Babel book, so by referencing it, you're not telling me anything. And it might even be a turn-off for me, because it's like, okay, if you're saying that I have to know this other book to know if I'm going to like this one, then you also tell me that this book can't necessarily stand on its own. It's like, tell me about this book. So, yeah. For 10 years, Sayana has devoted every waking moment to the study of magic, fueled by a mad desire to achieve the impossible. To be the first woman ever admitted into the high magistry here at the University of Magics and Industry. The N industry is what is getting my... What? But, okay. So, are we going to get an explanation in this blurb that women are seen as weaker in magic, typically, and so she isn't the exception? Because, I mean, to achieve the impossible would imply that, but as I just said, a woman using magic is not really an issue in a lot of stuff involving magic, in a lot of stories that involve magic. It's like Harry Potter. You got Hermione. She's incredibly competent at magic. It's like better than many of the boys there. And in The Lord of the Rings, Galadriel, in actual Lord of the Rings, not Rings of Power, that I have not watched, I never will watch. The stuff I've seen about it makes me have no interest, but it's like Galadriel is a very powerful magic user. Yes, all the wizards are men, but that's a little different. They were also selected. They weren't just born and did they end up having capabilities with magic. Galadriel very much has those capabilities, so it's like women magic users is not a novel concept. So you do need to explain why it would be. So let's keep going with the blurb. Finally passes the qualifying exam and becomes a high mage. Finds her challenges have just begun. That makes sense, but it is also, wait, so this is a qualifying exam. So that would suggest that women in this world are less capable at magic, and so they were not meeting the exam qualifications. Which is not necessarily a societal issue. That's saying, hey, we have a standard. If you meet it, great. If you don't, sorry. Well, not even sorry, just go away. Maybe try again later. New colleagues are determined to make her feel unwelcome, and instead of a qualified lab assistant, they give her a janitor. Okay. It's just a little unclear here. So she's, instead of being assigned a qualified lab assistant, they've assigned her a janitor. It's actually unclear, because when I first got to, and instead of a qualified lab assistant, I'm thinking, oh, they, instead of making her be a qualified lab assistant here, she's being made into something else. So it's like, no, I earned this position. I should be in this position. It's like, that's what I was expecting, but it's, no, they give her a janitor. So it's like, oh, so she's being given somebody to work with her, which... See, I'm also just thinking, is that even real? I don't know. I could ask a friend, but I probably wouldn't hear anything. I tend not to hear anything back from that friend. Who got her PhD and is a professor. Would she have gotten a lab assistant right away when she first got her job as a professor? I'm actually not certain. I was like, getting the lab assistant seems a little odd. Like, hey, congratulations, you get to work here now. Here's the people working for you. It's... Okay. What neither her nor her peer realizes that her taciturn assistant was not always a janitor. So they're incompetent with their hiring practices. I mean, true, that means HR, and yeah, I don't like HR. I can believe they're all incompetent, but it's like, how would you not know this? He was a nomadic hunter 10 years ago who lost his family on the perilous journey from the wild plains to the city. But now he sees the opportunity to understand the forces that decimated his tribe, drove him from his homeland, and keep the privileged in power. At first, mage and outsider have a fractious relationship, but working together they uncover an ancient secret that could change the course of magic forever if it doesn't get them killed first. Okay, this sounds kind of formulaic. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's sorry, but it does sound kind of like that. How they wouldn't have known about, well, you'd think that they would know about the janitor's background. But even then, what's being described here, the way it's being described that, was not always janitor's like, oh, what is he? It's like, oh, he's just a dude that lost his family. And is trying to position himself somewhere that he can learn from basically the scraps, things being left on the chalkboards that he goes in and has to erase every day. It's like that kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay. That's a story been told many times. But it would be something of an outsider because he's not a magic user surrounded by magic users. She is something of an outsider because she's the first to achieve this position. Which, I don't think I buy the book. Sorry. It sounds a little too formulaic. But I would hope that there is some greater explanation than just like, oh, well, because she's a woman, they don't want her. It's like, I'm sorry, but there's going to be plenty of men that would be in that position where it's like, you passed the exam? Yeah? Awesome. Come here. Let's do this stuff. I mean, it's like, because it's also like, if you have to put in that effort there, you care about this thing. For somebody else to do that as well, that means they care about it as well. You're going to celebrate, hey, we care about this thing together. Let's do this. Like, you're going to be making friends just because you're now in this club together. Some, yes, will be assholes and be like, well, I only want specific people in the club. But others will just be like, hey. Sorry, gust of wind. But it's like, some people, it's like, no, this is awesome. It's like, so that I hope that there is explanation in there. Because if it's just a generic, no, they all don't like her because she's a woman, it's like, a lot of them aren't going to care. I mean, hell, some of them will be like, awesome because woman, man. Maybe we get together on this, okay? It's like, we can do things that women and men do together. And, hey, we got this common interest. Awesome. It's like, there legitimately would be men like that, okay? That maybe go too far with it, but also some where it's like, no, are going to be your friend because, like, this is a woman that's interested in the thing I'm interested in. This is awesome. This is not something that generically men would be against, okay? And it was a qualifying exam, so she is at that standard, okay? That's a good thing. That's going to make them feel better about approaching her as well. So it's just, if it was she was appointed to this, now it makes sense for there to be resentment because, like, well, did she earn it or not? But no, she earned it. Okay, so that potentially the societal issue stuff is going to be more so here. With the janitor dude. With them nosing stuff. And because she is also something of an outsider, because what they said earlier, which you could also have it be a young man who's an outsider just because he's the new guy. It could just be that. And so then they are working together for that reason, that they're both outsiders, and they just happen to come across something. But it is also, an ancient secret that could change the course of magic forever. I do have certain issues with that concept, mainly just for the whole, you have this organization that exists dedicated to magic and the study of magic. They're going to know this stuff. Okay, I mean, yes, new people, new ideas, I got that. But if this is an ancient secret, then that means either they have been hiding this, so they know it already, and you're just going to potentially reveal it to the world. That's not the setup here. Or, it's like, in that case, fine. They have the knowledge, and it's just going to be disseminated because of you. But if it's they don't know about it, it's like, you're the noob. They're the experts. They're the elites. Why would they not know this? Okay? I'm trying to think, what there is an example of that in something. I just cannot think of it. Where the person who has no reason to know anything just comes up and starts talking as though they know stuff. And I think, I want to say that there is an example where the people that do know better are like, yeah, okay. So you just figured out what I wrote on page 10 in my 1,000-page dissertation on magic, or whatever the topic is. It's like, nothing you are saying is actually novel. Now, if you want to talk about what's on page 11, 12, and 13, We can do that. But understand, you're at page 10, right? And I'm working on my third dissertation, okay? There's that element there, and there's also, this is an aside, I'm gonna touch on that now, to make sure that's loaded. The tab is loaded. The image, the video from Star Wars The Force Awakens, where you've got, sorry, I just, go back to that. Where Rey just, like, rips out a component from the Falcon. It's like, I just bypassed the compressor. It's like, Han should have been like, you do understand the compressor's there for a reason, right? We need that component there. You can't just rip it out. That doesn't help things. That means the ship is going to explode in 3, 2, boom. I mean, it's... She is the noob there. She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And she just did something that is technically damaging the ship. And so, oh, isn't this wonderful? Isn't this great that this all's fine? It's like, Han should be like, no, I've taken this ship apart and put it back together more times than you can count before you were even born. That component needs to be there. Like, put it back in. The solution to the problem is something else. That's not it. I mean, you pull a compressor out of a car, the AC stops working. Because the compressors use that. I mean, it would be potentially close to more like you pull the alternator out of the car because we're having problems with the alternator. It's like, the alternator is what works the spark plugs and makes it go. What the hell's wrong with you? Why would you ever think this could... I'm just trying to step it back to the whole... It is an annoying trope and cliche of the new person finds something that the old people don't know. It is possible, yes, but not an ancient secret. They would know it, okay? Because they're the ones that have been studying this. You're the one learning this stuff for the first time. Now, you may have a new point of view, yes, that lets you see things in a new way, yes. But there's a lot of knowledge people think is new that isn't. That's incredibly old. You know, the whole nothing new under the sun kind of concept. And it annoys me when people just decide for a story to just throw it out. To just go with a trope that, nope, you can, just because you're new, you can see these things that no one else has ever seen. It's like, nothing new under the sun. Alright, now why is it that I had to go away? Because, like, heated rivalry. Saw that last time. It's like, same picture. The Long Game, which looks like a sequel or something. It's like, again, it's the same picture. Son of... Wait, hang on. I do need to check something now, though. I do need to check something. Because Amazon would have dates, right? Oh, no, it's book 2 of 6. Okay, I'm trying to figure out... Okay, yeah, so this is the one that I had seen last time at Kobo. Yeah, these, again, they're like all that same image. Although, hang on. Okay, no. I think that is still a man here in... tough guy there in the pink shirt. I think it is still a dude and not a woman. Although, look at that. See, it's the same picture. These are all the same picture. But do we have a date 2023 for that one? That was second book. Oh, no, sorry. This was the second book. Wait. No, this is book 6. This is book 2, and there's a year between them. But it's also book 2 was released after book 6. I was starting to wonder if this is just AI-generated slop. That's how they're putting it out so quickly. But anyway, let's actually look at this. That could be interesting. I think this was a sequel. I don't feel like... Nah, okay, we'll do that. That one. You know what? Yeah, that one too, but I'll do that one ahead of that. Okay. So, Theo, 134. Oh, jeez. Amazon really likes putting unnecessary code in their URLs. Anyway, Theo of Golden, a novel. with just a damaged feather here. Fairly basic looking cover, which, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Okay. Well, is it? Well, it is a feather, but could it be a quill as far as, like, writing? Don't know. Excuse me? Stranger arrives in the southern city of Golden. No one knows where he has come from or why. So what? His name... I mean, people come to towns all the time. His name is Theo, and he asks a lot more questions than he answers. So what? This is a local coffee house where 92 pencil portraits hang on the wall. Okay. So, okay. People have golden done by a local artist. He begins purchasing them one at a time and putting them back in the hands of their rightful owners. Each exchange, a story is told, a friendship is born, and life altered. Giving and receiving, seeing and being seen. Huh? I mean, I get some of this here, but it still sounds very pretentious. Like the rightful owners. I mean, it's... I got no connection. It's not doing anything for me. But it's kind of sounding like it could just be that's a portrait of this person. All right, well, and it's just, they're up in this coffee shop. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to buy that, find the person, just give it back to them. Because, I mean, if the portrait was made of them, then it should be theirs. It's like, that's actually not how it works, because it could just be a artist asks, can I do a portrait of you to, like, can I just have you as a model? It's like, models don't own the pictures that are being made of them. If you come and hire the artist, then yes, then you're hiring them, you're paying them, so you're getting it. But if you're just the model, no, that's the artist's work. But it still is. This is a path for telling stories. But then Theo doesn't necessarily have to be important at all. It could just be I'll buy that, find the person, and give it to them, and then hear the story of what it was like to be the model, what it was like to work with this artist. It's like, you can't still do storytelling there, but this is setting up like, oh, there's some sort of mystery here. Ooh, no, it could just be a sequence of short stories. It could be an anthology. Yeah, that's the framing. That's the way you're going through the stories. Nothing wrong with that. So I don't know. Am I supposed to believe that there's more here? Because just the anthology would be fine. I wouldn't have any issue with that. That could be interesting. But this is... It's not giving me any connection, because I still don't know about what the heck is going on here. It's suggesting more than I feel needs to be here, so... yeah, I don't care. Alright, and this... because this is the sequel, right? Yes, book 2 of 3. And it's, again, you still know what a keyhole looks like. It's just... What? Sequel of The Housemaid, soon to be a major motion picture. As he continues showing me their incredible penthouse apartment, I have a terrible feeling about the woman behind closed doors. So they never let what's-her-name out? But I can't risk losing this job, not if I want to keep my darkest secrets safe. What the heck is going on here? This is making me even less interested in the previous book. And I had no interest in that. Hard to find an employer who doesn't ask too many questions about my past. What are you talking about? It's incredibly easy. Most employers don't. I mean, they may do their own research and then maybe ask, but it's... So I thank my lucky stars that the Garrett... oh, also different family. It was the Westinghouse. Wasn't it Westinghouse before? I think so. Or something like that. But not Garrick's. Actually gave me a job cleaning their stunning penthouse with views across the city and preparing fancy meals in their shiny kitchen. I can work here for a while, stay quiet until I get what I want. It's almost... what is it that you want? Is it just money, or are you some sort of dangerous person? It's almost perfect, but I still haven't met Mrs. Garrick or seen inside the guest bedroom. I'm sure I hear her crying, no spots of blood around the neck of her white gowns when I'm doing laundry, and one day I can't help but knock on the door when it gently swings open. What I see inside changes everything. I mean, there are stories like that other places where it's like, yes, my wife is sick, she's an invalid, that's why I'm hiring you, because she can't do this stuff, so I need somebody else to do it. That's where she is, please don't disturb her. It's like, there are stories like that, and even where it is where more so the setup is, yes, I actually abuse her, and I locked her away in there. Don't go in there. Well, I'm not telling you that I abuse her, but it's like, yes, she's an invalid, so don't bother with that. It's like, please help me, he does this. I'm like, you do have stories like that. Gaslight to a degree is a story like that. But anyway, let's... That's when I make a promise. After all, I've done this before. I can protect Mrs. Garrick while keeping my own secrets locked up safe. Douglas Garrick has done wrong. He is going to pay. Simply a question of how far I'm willing to go. So it's a vengeance story, power fantasy, which maybe it's the same character as before. I don't know. Unbelievably twisty read it. That will have you glued to the pages late into the night. And anyone who loves the woman in the window, the wife between us, and the girl on the train will be completely hooked. I don't know any of those stories, so no, I don't care. But at least it only did that at the very end. So at least the construction of this blurb I like better than the other. But it still is... Yeah, I got no interest in this. I also don't know how it connects to the previous story. Like, is this the same... That's a lot of wind. Is this the same housemaid as before? Is it not? I don't know. And I know this video is getting long, so it's just... Yeah, I'm not seeing anything interesting here. And this whole... Okay, so it's just going to vengeance, which... Part of what could make that interesting, though, is if it actually turns out that, no, he didn't do anything wrong. You just... this person believes in it. It's like, oh, I'm going to start murdering them. It's basically just get a serial killer going. Yeah, and I was like, that could be more interesting, but it's constantly misinterpreting things. It's just continuing from story to story to story. So you're actually following this evil character, but you can write evil characters in an interesting way to make people want to read that story. But yeah, no. Buckeye, a read with Jenna, pick a novel. Okay, the main reason why I wanted to pick this, a read with Jenna, I guess is some sort of service. Is it how this is drawn here? Oh yeah, especially with that. It 3 phases of life. 3 phases of time, because it's hard to tell behind the words, but it is the same silhouettes of buildings, although we are getting more down here, lights on, but you see the trees growing, so passage of time. It's like, okay, that on its own, that's fine. It's not necessarily connecting, but at least I'm connecting with me, but at least I have an image for what the story is about. There's going to be something about just going through the life, somebody's life. So, okay, let's see what it is. A whole bunch of people just saying, oh, this is wonderful. I don't know who you are. I don't know why I would care what your opinion is. 1 town, 2 families, a secret that changes everything. Okay. Bonhomie, Ohio. That's not too surprising with the Buckeye state. Stolen moment of passion sparked in the exuberant aftermath of the Allied of VE Day. Finds Cal Jenkins, a man wounded not in war but by his inability to serve in it. To Margaret Salt, a woman trying to obscure her past. Cal's wife, Becky, has a special gift. She is a seer who can conjure the dead, helping families connect with those they've lost. Margaret's husband, Felix, serving on Navy's cargo ship, out of harm's way until a telegram suggests that the unthinkable might have happened. As the country reconstructs in the post-war boom, I'm not sure if I would describe after World War II as reconstruction in the U.S. And this is in Ohio, so clearly the U.S. I mean, I can't all see that because you got suddenly a huge population of men coming home that need jobs. But there's also the generation that grew up and is trying to get those jobs. And I see that, but I wouldn't necessarily call it reconstruction. Anyway, secret grows in Bonhomie, but nothing stays buried forever in a small town. It's a backdrop of some of the most transformative decades in modern America. The consequence of that long-ago encounter rippled through the next generation of both families, compelling them to re-examine who they thought they were and what they might hold. Sweeping and intimate, rich with fusing observation and the warmth that comes from profound understanding of the human spirit, Buckeye captures the universal longing for love and goodness. I got nothing here that makes anything interesting to me. I mean, it's like, from the start, from in here, it basically sounds like, oh, it's VE Day. Dude, for whatever reason, who wasn't in the war, who didn't just come home, and who is married, has an affair with this woman, and potentially, has produced a child. There's no mention of that, so it's like this could have been yes, he had an affair, and then it's like, this was a mistake, we're never going to talk about this again. And just nothing ever comes of it. That seems to be what is actually going on here, so... And then it's like, okay, Margaret's husband maybe has been killed. We're not sure. Becky might be able to conjure the dead, so, a medium, but it's like, what? How does any of this matter? It's just, what do we, I'm not seeing how any of this matters, especially because if it is, Felix has been gone, serving on a Navy cargo ship. If there was an affair that produced a child, you kind of need to explain how, you can have a kid when your husband isn't around. I was like, it's not really, who the father is might be a secret, but the secret itself kind of everybody knows. So, yeah, this is not, there's nothing that interesting here. There really isn't to me, because you're just saying that, here are these pieces on the board. Okay, but what is the board? What are the pieces? Don't care about any of this. At least it does suggest, well, yeah, there's also that. The image I got from the cover is like, it's in a town, 3 different phases of life. Okay, that's fine. But what this blurb is telling me is like, yeah, sure, I see how it aligns there, but it's in only the most generic of ways. I really don't see anything interesting here. Yeah, that's right. That's why I was also thinking down there. But the whole, like, having an affair and producing a child, it's, there's an episode of MASH where a guy is distraught because, a buddy of his went home and then wrote him a letter about how, hey, because it's like, went home and it's like they live in the same area. It was like, hey, just want to tell you how, it's like, your wife's baby is absolutely beautiful. You should be so proud. And it's like, I haven't been home for a year, so that ain't mine. And he is losing it and really desperately wants to go home to sort this out. And it's, parts of that episode are not that good, but it is definitely a story that would have been happening. But there's also which one is it? Because I know it's this one. Yeah, Stalag 17, name of that movie. And it was a play originally. There's American in a POW camp in Germany, gets a letter from his wife talking about how, somebody left a baby on her doorstep, and the baby just happens to have my eyes. It's like, it's so beautiful. How this is working out, and really want to keep him, all that. And for a lot of the movie, he's just going around saying, I don't know why she says you won't believe it. You won't believe that it's my eyes. I believe it. I believe it. And it's basically, she had an affair, got pregnant, had the baby, and is telling him, and hey, it's found on the doorstep. It's like, he's going to find out when he gets home the truth, because of the whole, it's like there would have been neighbors talking about, yeah, she was pregnant for a time. I was like, he's going to find out. I can understand breaking it to him that way, so he's not angry until he gets home. But yeah, they also, it's an episode of Adam 12. I know I can reference so many of these random things, where I just realized I didn't track when I went over to this one. Or the last one, even. Damn it. I was hoping to save some time later, I guess not. But putting in the chapter points. But there's an episode of Adam 12 where there's a child abduction, but it's a little complicated because it's husband and wife, and he was away for a while. He's come home, and the child is not his. It is, his wife had an affair, and he's running. He's abducted the child and is running because, as he explains, his wife is so filled with guilt, actually wants to harm the kid. It's like wants to kill the child, at least harm the child, get rid of the child, because as though that'll help. And he's like, no, I love this kid. It's like the affair is, I don't doubt, still something of a problem, but it's the child. He's okay with that. It's like yeah, I get child. It is not my child. It's somebody else, but I love the kid. We're gonna keep it. Not a problem. And so he was actually running to keep the child safe. He abducted the child to keep the child safe from the mother. It's like, you can do these stories in interesting ways and have them in there interesting, but this, I don't even know if that's what's going on. So yeah, I just not interested in this one. I think I can. I'm just trying to clear out the URLs. Because as I said, Amazon likes having all sorts of code in there that means absolutely nothing. All right, and that was 1 49, 40 about. Alright. So, the Wrath of the Fallen Gods and Monsters. The reason why I actually want to look at this is this cover image. It was way too busy to be a masculine cover image. Okay, there's way too much. You cut out some of these, swirls there. Keep the sword, keep the dragon. You don't need as much of a shadow here behind the title to obscure the dragon. Did you do that? You don't, and you also don't really need the flower petals, but something to keep some sort of coloring in there. I mean, and then that works for more masculine cover. You can draw more men to it, but this on its own, no. One thing also that I do want to mention, I can't really say, well, the sword being double-edged, but you do see that in all cultures. The dragon is more of an oriental dragon, because you don't see the wings, and you see very long neck, arms down there, and it's not... More Western dragons have a broad chest, right? And so it is more like that, whereas oriental dragons, you see more so like a serpent that has arms sticking out. So, and this looks more like that, at least on this profile. So, I don't know. Let's look at this. A viral favorite among... Okay, I don't care about that stuff. When gods dance with monsters, the world will tremble. I'm sorry, I'm just used to, like, Greco-Roman mythology where gods do, in fact, try to destroy the monsters. So it's odd for them to work together, to dance together. Beautiful enemy once saved him. This is obviously a book for women. You wouldn't write that line and for a story targeting men. Return of Samkael. I'm just going to call him Sam for now. The rightful heir to the throne. Tensions grow in the remaining realms. Okay, I get that this is book 4, but it's still... Try to set up a little bit better so I know what the hell's going on, because I don't know the other stories. Battle lines begin to form between those pledging their loyalties to either Sam or Nismera. War looms on the horizon. Sam must deal with his growing power. What growing power? Without the ring of oblivion, okay, the dark ancient force living under his skin begins to lash out. Okay, so he's got something in him, wants to lash out. It's evil, apparently, dark ancient force, that sounds evil. It needs this ring to keep it under control. Why does he not have the ring? Why is this ring only being mentioned now? I'm sorry, but it's a pet peeve of mine. It's not really pet peeve, it's a major peeve. When you do sequels, and this would also apply to blurbs, you do need enough explanation in there for somebody to not have to have read the previous book. Or books, in this case. Because no one wants to do homework before they can be entertained. Okay? And it is also, if you can write like a sequel that's really, really good, and that's what somebody, for whatever reason, that's what they start reading, then, okay, if it's self-contained, then say, oh, cool, I want to read these other books, versus you get into reading and it's like, I have no idea what's going on, probably because I didn't read the previous books. But why would I continue reading this book when I can put it down and read another? I need to put it down because I don't know what's going on. I need to get the other books, but why? But, man, I don't have that much time. I'll just go start reading another book. I mean, it's you having it be a complete story is best, and the blurb should also be like that. Meanwhile, an ancient power calls to Diana, who, plaguing her dreams with messages of retribution. Very much a who is this? I'm saying, when you start getting to the messages of retribution, it's like, okay, there was a history here. You do need to hint at it. It will indicate more what it is. Sam, seeking to protect the woman he loves, who is this, sets out on a desperate search for answers, but the solution will mean a dangerous voyage to the one place he dares not to go, the other world. Okay, whatever. But still, it's like we went from he needs the ring to keep this evil in check to suddenly, oh no, he needs to protect the woman he loves. Well, maybe that's, to find the ring, but but then he's seeking answers, not the ring. This ring seems to be a very important MacGuffin that may have been from the prior stories. I don't know, those prior stories explain the ring. Who's the Real Monster is racing against time as Niz hunts for Vincent and Camilla, who? Seeking what they stole. Okay, they're thieves. Her thirst for power and her armada only grows stronger as she rampages across the realm. That is not how armadas work. I was like, as you were going, they would get damaged, or you run out of supplies. Forces primal and eternal have taken notice, forcing Ig and gods to work together. on a quest to reclaim an object capable of unraveling reality. They're gods. Why do they need that? An unlikely bond is formed in blood and fire, leaving all affected with no choice but one: save the realms or themselves. What the hell are we talking about here? I'm sorry, it's like, I assume that because it's gods and monsters and the whole, when gods dance with monsters, the world will tremble. It is also interesting. Here they capitalize gods, here they don't. But it's like, okay, so I'm assuming that's a monster. And it's like, oh, this is a bad situation. We mortal enemies, but we work together to solve this. It's like, seriously? I mean, it's like, there are times when it's like, no, I am dedicated to destroying you. Doesn't matter that, it's like, you may be able to help me here. Dedicated to destroying you. That is kind of how things work, including in mythology. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not impressed by this at all. And I'm not really interested in it. Which is a shame that that's how it is, but it is how it is. Alright, well, that concludes. I definitely went through a lot in almost 2 hours. Sorry. I don't think that there was... Well, no, there may have been one story. Let me look back. That seemed like maybe. I think it... The Shadow of the Gods. I think this one is the only one of them, but probably not. And that's why, because of the noble woman thing. I think that might be the only one that actually was like, maybe I'd be interested in this. But that's only a maybe, and it's not really that much of a maybe either. Because it's like noble woman would not have the background to be able to achieve combat success in combat. I did just remember about this. Just quickly looking through here. Okay. So these are the the monthly picks from Barnes & Noble. What the hell, why not look? List of suspicious things, a novel. On a thing of milk? I don't know. What the heck? Why is it partially punched up there on the... This cover art isn't making a lot of sense, because like you should continue to see the holes there at the... Okay, that's not what I wanted to do really, but the holes at the top of this you should have going the entire length. So that doesn't really make much sense. Breath, the new science of a lost art. I'm assuming that's just how you breathe. Which, I mean, to be fair, breath, how you breathe can be very, very important. So it's just talking about that, and this I'm actually okay with, and it is because of how it shows like the tubes in your lungs. It's like, yeah, I'm good with that cover art. That makes sense. I don't know how interested I would be in the book, but it is definitely, your breath can impact so much. It's also like one thing I'll mention, because I do wonder how that has impacted me in my life. Most people, they'll breathe up here, at their lungs. Like that. I tend to breathe actually down here. So you don't see the movement up here, but it is also breathing down there is actually breathing lower at your gut can actually be more relaxing. That might be something mentioned in there. Is easier, more comfortable. Tilt, a novel. Okay. I got nothing here. It looks like some sort of city down there, mountain in the background. I don't know, you say tilt, I'm thinking pinball. What would you do if the world started crumbling around you? The author explores humanity, desperation, love, and survival in this breathtaking read. You are not telling me anything that is interesting. And the fact that, no offense, but Emma, woman's name, this is probably targeting women. Dungeon Crawler Call. Dungeon Crawler Call Series 1. Day couldn't possibly be worse than calls. Go on an intergalactic sci-fi adventure for the entire galaxy's viewing pleasure. So, sort of Running Man-ish? But it's like Dungeon Crawler Call. It's a dungeon crawler, but it's an intergalactic sci-fi adventure. I associate dungeon crawl. I know it technically applies anywhere, but I associate that more with fantasy. That actually does sound a little interesting. Prize-winning showcat? This just sounds like silliness thrown at, which I mean could still be fun, but I don't know. Just to get to the next battle would be. I don't know, but I will grant that one is not immediately making me like, yeah, no. It I can see there being potential, but oh wait, what? Sorry, I'm just noticing that there's a lot of more in this series, even though this is the first in the series. And it's a bestseller. Oh, okay, hang on. Let me turn this back on. So, publication date 2025, like the end of 2025. This is weeks ago, but more in this series, and we've got all this. Carl's Doomsday Scenario. What? You serious? Yeah, where is it? Yeah. Number 2. When was 2024? Okay, so it's got to be like a new release or something. It gets annoying when that happens. So apparently this is an older story then. So I don't know. I mean, I could see looking it up and deciding that maybe I do like it, and deciding that it might be worth it, but because it doesn't immediately turn me off. Like there's potential here, but the whole why would you keep your ex-girlfriend's cat? That does not make any sense to me. So anyway, at least it doesn't. Going back to this, there have been times when I've looked at these lists and it's like, oh, that's for woman, that's for woman, that's for woman, that's for women. It's like everything's for women. This is not intrinsically telling me it's for women. It might still be. But there are some aspects to this where it's like, okay, that's probably more so for a man. So, don't know. Anyway, I gotta stop this, get things processing, figure out where the cuts are for some of the books I forgot to put into the thing. But yeah. See you next time.